for some people, the idea of saving is just completely alien, whether or not you're on universal credit or not. Myself, I've always been a saver. I think ever since I was born, I've been a saver. My husband, no way. There's no way he would save anything. It's just not in his nature. So I think this scheme is all about incentivizing people and building it in and making a habit out of it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mouthy Money Podcast. I am joined by my good co-host, Chris Chu, who is Head of Consumer Finance at communications consultancy MRM. Chris, hello. How are you doing?
Hi, Ed. How's it going?
Yes, very well. Thank you. I think we've got a really different topic today. Well, it's talking about the same things we usually talk about, which is how to save, how to plan for the long term and this all that good stuff. But we're taking a look at it from a slightly different perspective today. We're looking at starting from zero. So quite often we really do talk about people who are already on that journey, maybe got some pension, maybe they're busy saving for a house deposit. They're in a position where they're able to do that kind of stuff. But what do you do if you really do have, zero? Chris, have you started from zero? Did you, when you were young, what did that bank account look like in your first job and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I did start from zero, Ed. I sort of did the usual thing, but it was unusual for my family in that I was the first one in my family to go to university. Before that, I was from sort of quite a low income family. My father was a construction worker. My mother was a cleaner. So I have in my time known what having zero in the household feels like and looks like, and maybe even less than zero. There was a couple of really big lessons that I was taught in that process around credit. My parents were absolutely terrified of credit, so luckily we didn't run up any debt to any great degree. But what it did do was kind of give me a keen sense that when I went to university that I need to work my way through, that I need to kind of pay my own way. But that doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes along the way. So I do remember at university writing a check for my first year halls of residence rent and handing it in, and it bounced, and I had no idea why. A check, for younger listeners, go away and Google it. And the reason it bounced was because I didn't bank with the company that I'd written the check for. So that was unbelievably a fast learning curve for me in terms of like, oh, right, that's quite a silly mistake to make. So yeah, and then over time, I was quite lucky in terms of I made a decision early on that I needed to focus on my career quite young because I wanted to build up from zero and was able to build quite a quick savings discipline. I made some wrong decisions with the money I did put aside. I have a couple of regrets about not investing sooner and things like that. But just that monthly habit of just ring fencing money started to become quite pleasurable and just became a non-negotiable. And that helped me to feel more confident, feel more able to get my head up and see what else is out there. So forming the habit was difficult. But when I did, every little bit that I was able to throw aside started to feel like money put in the right place. So it started to kind of boost my confidence and my ability to save. So yeah. What about you, Ed?
Yeah, so it's difficult to define starting from zero. I know this is the topic of the podcast, so I'm going to try and do it. I mean, I would argue that I've started from zero twice in my sort of adult life. The first time, and I was fortunate to have a good education, I will say that at the outset. But at the age of 18, I didn't have any parental help. They had their home and I lived with them, which was obviously very helpful. I wasn't out on the doorstep finding somewhere to go and rent. But I worked for 6 months in a fridge factory, saving up for university. And then through
Should I make a joke about that being cool? No, I won't.
No, terrible. Terrible. I used to glue badges onto fridge doors in a factory on a production line. It was very, very boring. And this was before things like AirPods, so I couldn't even listen to a podcast. I couldn't even listen to Mouthy Money while I did it.
You just had to think about pensions all day.
I had to just stand there and think about how much, and it was good work actually. It was unionized factory work. The factory's long gone now. That's how I initially paid to get myself through university. And then when I was at uni, I used to work in call centers during the summer holidays, again at the same white goods company, but in their call center instead. And that's kind of how I paid my way through. And I managed to save a bit of money, but by the time I came out of uni, I was back to square one. I got a job. And then I saved up, and then I spent all my money blowing my career to hell and going traveling. This is all sounding very gap year-ish, but it's not, I promise. And then I got to London in 2016 with not a penny to my name. And I think the and I didn't have a pension at that point either, because I had received some bad advice, Chris, once.
What was the bad advice? It wasn't from me, I hasten to add. We don't give advice on this show, Ed.
I know, we don't give advice. I was told by an actual financial advisor not to bother setting myself up with a pension. It wasn't worth it.
Wow.
So by the age of 27, I still didn't have a pension when I arrived in London, which is just terrible, terrible. We're going to get on to why it's important to start that.
Whatever happened to that person?
As soon as possible.
Are they still in financial advice?
I think they have about £1 billion worth of AUM in their burgeoning financial advice business now, but I'm not going to name any names and give anything away. But there we are. So my problem was when I restarted, let's say from zero in 2016 with my career, trying to build a fresh career, and that's when I became a financial journalist in London. Was I got into quite a lot of debt, and specifically credit card debt, in order to get by in the first couple of years when I was on a very, very low income. For London standards, a low income. I think back then it would have been an okay income if I lived somewhere else that was perhaps cheaper cost of living. So this brings me to our lovely guest who's been waiting very patiently up until now while you and I, Chris, talk about our personal experiences. We are going to talk about the debt side of things, but actually some schemes that are out there that can help stop you having to get into that spiral. So I'm very pleased to introduce Emma Ferris, who is from HMRC, no less. Emma, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. It's great to be here. It's great to have the IT allow me to be here on the
Yes.
International Podcast Day. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Emma, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Obviously, we've given a bit of a long lead in there about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit around stuff to do with avoiding debt. We're going to talk a little bit about pensions. But the reason that we wanted you on is actually talk about a specific scheme. And that specific scheme is Help to Save. So Emma, in a nutshell, what is Help to Save? Tell us about it.
Okay, so in a nutshell, it's a government savings scheme, and it's for working people, so you do have to be working, who are in receipt of universal credit, and that can be for a myriad of reasons. And the scheme itself offers a 50% bonus payment, which over the 4 years that you can have the Help to Save scheme open, it can be worth up to £1,200. So it's not an insignificant sum of money at all. So once you've opened the scheme, you can save, the minimum you can put in is £1 a month, and the maximum you can put in is £50 each month, which means you will earn an extra 50p for every £1 saved. The bonuses are paid at the end of the first 2 years you've got the account open for, and then again at the end, at the 4th year you've had the account, you'll receive another bonus. And it's a fantastic scheme because even as little as £1, times are really tough. Sometimes you can put £1 in. Other times you might be able to put a bit more in that month. But if you could just save as £1 a month, that over time will build up, will accumulate. So it's like having a piggy bank, basically, except the government are going to put an extra cherry on top and you'll receive that 50% bonus over the 4 years if you continue to use the account.
Yeah, I think, and what's really important here is, and it's this message about resiliency, right? When people are on very low incomes, it is very easy and also very dangerous to get into debt and use debt as a tool to try and save a situation when you have an emergency. But actually building that emergency fund up and having that even just very basic safety net. And it can be silly things. I mean, I think about it for myself. It's taking the car in that you have to use every day for an MOT and finding you have to spend 500 quid on getting it road legal again. Having that safety net, and this is what the Help to Save scheme is ultimately designed for, isn't it? Is for creating that safety net so people don't have to resort to debt. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I know you talk a lot about savings on your pod, and for some people, the idea of saving is just completely alien, whether or not you're on universal credit or not. Myself, I've always been a saver. I think ever since I was born, I've been a saver. My husband, no way. There's no way he would save anything. It's just not in his nature. So I think this scheme is all about incentivizing people and building it in and making a habit out of it. And Chris, you said that at the beginning, didn't you? It's that it's becoming a habit. Actually, I really like this habit. And it can be incredibly, incredibly difficult when you're living hand to mouth. the idea of saving can be alien, but if you can put just £1 away a month, that will build up over time and the government will pay and you'll be incentivized to save. So it is so worthwhile doing.
But there's two things there that I think are really important, Ed, if I can leap in. And we talk a lot about psychological thresholds in this on the Mouthy Money pod, because money's emotional, right? Money is psychological. Money isn't just spreadsheets. And I know that as somebody who's not great with spreadsheets and has to work hard at them. It's more about sort of making sure that you, and I think this is also important in a sense when things can feel like they spiral out of control. And as someone who's kind of lived on a lower income in the past, you do feel that you're somewhat subject to the whims of things that are happening around you. And particularly now with cost of living, bills can spike up. Something can drop on the mat that can absolutely shake the foundations of your house because your boiler goes, or the car needs sorting out, or suddenly a council tax bill drops on the mat. I do remember many years ago, we managed to fall behind in what was the old poll tax days, and we just couldn't afford to pay it. And my parents couldn't afford to pay it, and so my mum ended up being taken to court and being threatened with jail. Right, and that has been a foundational moment in my family's history and my attitude towards money, because you're like, wow, the consequence that was massively overzealous from the people who were collecting that tax, by the way. And as soon as she got into the courtroom, the judge was like, can you please get this woman out of my sight and arrange a payment plan? What are we doing? Which is what we ended up doing. But the reason I mention that is because it was so destabilizing. It was so kind of worrying, and we'd wake up every morning concerned what was going to happen and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the dramatic end of it. But what you can do is over time start to build your resilience to those things that do inevitably drop on the mat, that, you know, those kind of ups and downs that are part of day-to-day living, and make sure that you feel more able to deal with it and more psychologically prepared to deal with it. And this first part of that is just to create the space for the money to go into. And the double bonus you've got with this, from the sounds of it, is that if you start it, then the government are going to help to top it up, which to me seems like a fantastic deal. So it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like you're drowning. It can feel like, well, how am I ever able to do this? But even if you start with that £1, Emma, I think that's crucial, just to create the space in your own mind and out there in the wider world to have a space to put that money into and signal an intention. And from there, small acorns, oak trees grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is really worthwhile mentioning for those, those emergency situations there that you spoke of, those unexpected bills, you can make penalty-free withdrawals out of the account at any time. So the money's not locked away as it would be in an ISA, for example. But it's just worthwhile also saying that if you do withdraw, that might affect how much you get paid as a bonus at the end of it. So the bonus is paid, if I go into this a little bit for listeners. So after the first 2 years, so you continue paying in for the first 2 years, and then at the end of that, it's the highest balance saved. So that's what you get paid 50% off from the government. And then the same again is repeated. So it's the highest balance saved in the last 2 years, so years 3 and 4. If your highest balance doesn't increase, you forget to do it after the first 2 years, you won't get that final bonus. So it's really to incentivize it becoming that regular thing that you can pay into. The bonus will be paid into your bank account. Doesn't go back into the Help to Save account, it goes straight into your account. And it's a fantastic thing if you can build that in and just have, as you say, that safety net is really, really important. Lots of people are opening the accounts. You can do so via gov.uk. So if you're watching now and you think, yes, this is for me or it's for somebody I know, go straight to gov.uk. You can check your eligibility online, which is great, but also via the HMRC app. And the app is fantastic, whether you're a Help to Saver or not. If you're just a regular UK citizen, definitely download the app. It's free to download. It's safe and secure to use, and that is really, really important. I'll go on the radio a lot and talk about all the terrible scams that are out there, but that's for another day. If I can get back onto your podcast, if my IT glitches.
So I think what's really interesting here, because I remember looking at Help to Save when it first launched. Actually, I was sort of recently started working as a financial journalist, and you look at it objectively, and I think I've always been trained to be skeptical of what the government does and look at schemes with a critical eye.
That doesn't sound like you, Ed.
Well, of course not, Chris,
Listeners, see state pension comments if you want to see. Anyway, there we go.
No, but look, it was a really good idea when it first launched, and we were happy to promote it where on the magazine I worked at the time. But I think the sense of it, all we always got was that it was a little bit undersold. It would needed that little bit more energy to get to people. So I think there's 2 points here. The first, and Emma, I'm going to ask you to elaborate a little bit more on the second one. But on the first one is that if you know, and I think Emma actually alluded to this too, is you might be listening to this podcast and you might not be on universal credit, but there's a good chance that you probably know somebody who is and who might benefit from this scheme. So it's really important to help people in that position who might not have the resources to be able to spend time listening, researching, finding out. It's about sharing the information as wide as possible. So that's one of the messages that we kind of want to share today is tell someone you know about the scheme, that it's out there, that it can help them make savings in the short to medium term and create that resiliency. Now, on that second point, Emma, am I right in saying they've extended some of the eligibility as well? So it is now more widely available than it used to be, isn't it?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So the scheme's been open since 2018. The government have extended it now. So it's going to close in April 2027. So you've still got plenty of time to set up an account if you haven't already. A lot of people ask, what if I stop receiving universal credit? That's fine. You can continue to use the scheme. You'll still be eligible. If you're eligible now, continue to pay into it. The previous criteria, thank you, it's really worth flagging. The previous criteria meant savers had to be in receipt of tax credits or universal credit and be earning at least 16 hours a week at national living wage. That's slightly changed now. You have to be earning, I believe it's £1 in your last monthly earning period to be eligible. The government they've widened it up so more people are eligible. I believe over 500,000 people have already opened accounts. It's a fantastic thing to do if you can, and a huge amount of money has been deposited into the account, over 500 million. As of the 18th of September, I believe my figures that have been given.
I'm actually looking at the figures here, and I'm going to surprise Chris now. I'm going to put him on the spot, and we're going to play a little game.
Oh God,
Chris, if you had to guess a region of the UK, so we can include Scotland and Wales as regions there, which region would you say is the best at saving into this scheme? Because I've got the numbers in front of me and I can tell you.
I'm going to say the Northwest.
I'm like, how did you know that? That's brilliant. You actually got it right. I was going to try and scupper you here, but you've beat me at my own game.
Fantastic. There we go.
Yeah. Northwest has nearly 75 million quid saved up as a region.
Well, I lived in Manchester for a while, so I know the people up there are very canny with their cash. So there we go.
That's very interesting. It's a very interesting fact, actually. And I'm interested that you guessed it so easily. But bravo to the Northwest.
Yeah.
At this
Pats
point.
on the back all round.
I think it's very good. So I think the takeaway from this with the scheme is not everybody's going to have access to it. Not everybody is able to claim universal credit. There are criteria, and it's important to look at it. And if you might be able to claim, speak to Emma. Where's the best place to go for finding out about that? Just quickly.
Straight to gov.uk. Make sure you're on gov.uk.
Yeah.
Give it a quick Google. If you don't have access, speak to a close family member or friend or someone you trust. Get on gov.uk, type in help to save, eligibility criteria, and go from there. And you can also apply using the app. If you've got access to a mobile device and space on your phone to download the app, it's free to download, it's safe and secure, and you can manage your account via the app, which is really, really handy.
So for those who aren't eligible for that, my key takeaway and my personal experience of it is that the debt is so corrosive, and I'm still to this day paying some of that off, I will freely admit. Fortunately, I managed to get it under control, and it is now I'm actually hopefully going to be free of it sooner rather than later. But it has taken a long time for me to get out of that position. I would have loved to have been told when I started out in 2016 in London, you need to save money straight away from your paycheck. That's one of the most important things I learned actually over time. There are other ways to do it. You can use things like regular savers are a really good step. Most banks offer them. I had a look yesterday at some of the rates. I think there's some ones offering 7%. I mean, obviously it's not a 50% bonus like you'd get in the Help to Save scheme, but it's better than nothing, and it'll get you started with kind of that regular saving habit, getting you into that cycle of building up that just little fund that will prevent an emergency situation. Then, of course, beyond that, When you hopefully in work, you'll be getting a pension through your workplace. Try absolutely not to leave a workplace scheme. You are giving up free money by doing that, because your employer has to contribute as well. I think, and then beyond that, you are looking at longer term, once you've got that safety net in place. Chris, any kind of other thoughts there from you? Or I think, my personal experience of it is that it is really tough, but you have to just try and persevere with these things, right?
Yeah. As anything, it's sort of getting the boulder rolling, isn't it? That's the thing, I think. And hopefully it can kind of pick up speed as it goes and as time proves. And if you don't get hit with a lightning bolt of an emergency bill or an issue, well, first and foremost, if you do, like I said before, you've got the confidence that you're able to kind of deal with that and it doesn't have to derail what you're up to and you can sleep a bit more soundly. But if you don't, over time, you're suddenly going to start to have a bit of a pot there that you can start to put towards other things which are going to improve your situation, make you more financially resilient, more secure. And with that comes a confidence around money, in my experience. And that confidence is like gold dust, because once you have that confidence and a bit more of an understanding and you learn more about it, you're able to make more decisions. And I always think kind of good decisions, like, you talked about debt there, Ed, and we talked about compounding in different contexts when it comes to things like investing. Good decisions compound, If you make a good decision and follow it with another one and another one, all of a sudden you're further down a road and looking to kind of make, heading towards a better sort of outcome. And I know how difficult it is, and, I'm not sitting here preaching. As I said, I've lived kind of through it. I understand that things knock us, and but the more that you can get yourself into that headspace, the better ultimately things are going to hopefully turn out for you as you move through one way or the other.
Yeah. So Emma, we're gonna pop all the right links in the show notes. Make sure that everybody has access to where they need to go to get the information. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you for coming on to explain it to us. I think it's been really, really useful. I will also, those of you listening, did you get started from zero? We want to hear your thoughts. We'd love to know if you did anything in particular, mistakes you made along the way. We're very keen. We're getting lots of comments on particularly on your YouTube videos at the moment. We're getting almost like a community having a conversation. We want to be part of that conversation and hear your experiences. Everybody has to start from zero somewhere, unless you're getting help from your parents, but not everybody is that lucky. So Emma, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
And Chris, thank you as ever.
My pleasure.
And thank you everybody for listening. Do catch us again soon. Hit like and do subscribe to the channel. Really helps us out. With that, thank you everybody and goodbye. Thank you for tuning into the Mouthy Money podcast. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on all our content. Follow us for more on your preferred podcasting channel, including Spotify, YouTube or Apple Podcasts. Stay in touch by following our social channels on Instagram, TikTok and LinkedIn. And don't forget to subscribe to the Mouthy Money newsletter on mouthymoney.co.uk. The Mouthy Money podcast is produced for general informational purposes only. It should not be construed as investment, legal, tax or other forms of financial advice. If in any doubt about the themes expressed, consider consulting with a regulated financial professional for your own personal situation. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Investments can go down as well as up, and you may get back less than you started with. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. For more information, visit fca.org.uk/investsmart for more. Thank you.